Hello, GDQ Games Committee. I'm Doipingu, and this is my submission for Minecraft 1.16.1 All Advancements Set Seed Glitchless. And let's just hop right into it. So right away, there's a lot going on my screen. Right now, I'm resetting for a cat type. And it's a black cat because this is a cat type that can only spawn in certain conditions, and one of them is at the very start of the seed, basically. That'll be important later, but I'm not going to dwell on that because we're in a village and we're looting the village. We do a cool strat here with this flower pot that we can jump on. Pretty cool. Shout out to my friend Tiger for that one. Now we're gonna loot a desert temple, which is very close to this village, and get some loot. And while we're doing that, I'm going to talk a bit about what set seed glitchless is. So set seed means in Minecraft there are random seeds for every single world in the game. And the main category a lot of people play is random seed glitchless, where you get a random world, you boot it up, you try to beat it as fast as you can. Set seed glitchless is more typical to your traditional speed games, where we spend a lot of time, find a really good seed, and then route it. So right now I'm just getting some basic resources to prepare to enter the Nether. And I should also expand on what all advancements is. So in Minecraft, in this version, there are 80 in-game tasks that the game sets for you to do, and they're called advancements. And Minecraft is a sandbox game, so you're under no obligation to actually get these, but it is a speedrun category, and it's pretty similar to 100% from other speed games. So now we spawn the overworld, and we're in the Nether dimension, and we're gonna get a lot of resources. So for 100% in Minecraft, the very first thing we're gonna do routing wise is beat the game. So finish any percent basically. And that'll get you around 30-ish advancements on its own. And also it'll give us the resources to get the harder advancements later. Actually slip here a second. Sometimes that would be a reset condition, but I decided, you know what, I've already made it this far, I'll just play this out. So right now we're in a structure called a Bastion, and these have lots of loot that's useful for speedrunners in this version of Minecraft, namely Ender Pearls, which you can later craft into Eyes of Ender to fill the End portal to allow us to get to the End dimension, which is where we can beat the game. And Ender Pearls are also very useful for traveling, because when you throw an Ender Pearl, you teleport. So you'll see that in around a minute or so. Right now I'm looting the chests in the Bastion, which have obsidian, and obsidian is used for nether portals, so going in and out of the nether dimension. And this is important because one block in the nether is equivalent to 8 in the overworld, so you can travel 8 times as fast. And for a category where you need to kind of explore the whole world, it's very important to travel fast. So now I'm going to show off the Ender Pearl, so you can see here, and I do a strat here called a Pearl Hang, where I lower my render distance, which normally people just use to, see less, maybe make their game run a little faster. But for speedrunners, when you can't see the pearl, it doesn't exist basically, and it's just floating there. And now I raise my render distance and I teleport to the location of that pearl. I'm going to do another pearl hang here, and now we're in the next important structure in the Nether after Bastions, which is the Nether Fortress. And the only resource I really need from here is blaze rods, because I talked earlier about we're going to craft Eyes of Ender to enter the End dimension, beat the game. You need Ender Pearls and you need blaze powder, which is obtained from these guys, which are blazes. And unfortunately, when I was trading in the Bastion with those pigs, I didn't get a fire resistance potion, which is one of the barters they can give you. So I kind of have to deal with the blazes being able to deal fire damage to me, so I have to play a little bit safer. And it slows me down a little bit, but the blaze spawner, which is that center block with the mini guy and the particles, it's on a timer anyway. So I am kind of just pace locked by the spawner. So it's not a huge deal, but it is just annoying, and I have to be careful not to die. And right now I'm at 5, and for this seed we're going to need 6 blaze rods. Right now I'm doing some pre-crafting, just getting resources to beat the game. Most importantly are beds, because to beat the game you have to kill the ender dragon in the end dimension. And beds explode in the end, so they're going to deal a lot of damage to the dragon. Okay, we got our 6th rod. Now we can unload our pearl hang, again, similar to before. And now we're traveling to some memorized coordinates. You see there's a mob that spawned and perished. Every time you throw a pearl, there's a 5% chance an ender might spawns. And it's actually unfortunate that that guy died, because you need to kill them as part of a criteria for an advancement. But I have to get one later, basically now is the deal. Okay, so this portal has put us at a very specific spot where we enter the stronghold, which is going to house the end portal, and that's how we're going to enter the end dimension. So I'm just looting some chests that I've memorized the location of. And before we go to the portal room, we're going to make a quick pit stop at the library to gain some knowledge through these books. Only half joking. These books we're going to later put on our armor. They have enchantments that can make our armor and tools and gear just better. So we're going to finally enter the end. If you spot there, it's pretty quick, but I threw an ender pearl before entering the end. And at the very end of the run, or near it, last 10 minutes or so, that ender pearl is going to teleport us back so we can avoid having to run through the stronghold. Now I'm doing a strat called Zero Cycle, where I use these beds I've collected and kill the dragon in the sky. And it's pretty mechanically challenging, not for the faint of heart. So you do gotta focus up here. But I get a nice 4, is that 3 plus 2 Zero Cycle? And now, we just killed the dragon. So we finished 90%, but before we leave and start the mid-game of the run, I'm going to get some resources from the outer end, which is part of the end dimension, and oh, we slipped. So a little embarrassing. I almost reset here. You can see I'm just standing around, but I'm in the green by 30 seconds, so I'm just gonna play it out. A little sad that that happened. Hi, Fire Nova. So this is an end ship in the outer end, part of the end dimension. And this item right here, we get an Advancement Force, Guides the Limit, our Elytra. It's the Elytra item, and it allows you to fly. So now we can move way quicker, and we'll use this Elytra for the rest of the run for movement. So now I'm going to get some chorus fruit. One of the advancements we need to get is eat every food, and chorus fruit is one of those foods, and you can only find it in the outer end. So it's important that I grab that. Now we're killing these guys. They're called shulkers, and they drop an item. You see it dropped right there. It's called a shulker shell. If you get 2 shulker shells and a chest, you can make a shulker box, and it's basically like a portable chest. So it can carry a lot of items, and you can bring it anywhere. So it's very convenient, and we're going to need 2 shulker boxes, which is 4 shulker shells. So we're going to kill all these shulkers here. Now that we're kind of just doing this, I can talk as we're moving really fast here. The next segment of the run, I can talk about that, which is the mid-game. So this is the 90% still, or early game section we're in. Next, we're going to transition to the mid-game. And in all advancements, the mid-game is mainly fulfilling big multi-part advancements. So these include killing every mob, eating every food, finding every biome, taming every cat, a lot of tasks that take a lot of time. But because, again, we're playing set seed, the seed has been routed in a way to make the seed really, really fast. And you see that shulkers don't actually drop their shell every time, so I have to kill a couple more of these guys than I would like. This guy unfortunately doesn't drop, so we have to quickly fly back towards the city. And I'm gonna get another advancement in about 10 seconds here after this guy drops his shell, which is great view from up here. I actually mess it up here, unfortunately. But basically the idea of this advancement is you teleport 50 blocks up while having the levitation effect, which is when the shulker bullets hit you. However, the game has been coded in a way that it only detects when your Y level changes 50 blocks in any direction. So we do a trick here where I actually teleport down, and that gives me the advancement anyway. So I guess it's closer to great view from down here. And now we finally got that advancement, we've gotten our cores for Eden, we have 4 shells, so I can return to the main part of the end island and get ready for our mid-game. So there's a pretty cool trick here called Shulker Yeet. I think this variant is actually called Void Yeet, where we hook this shulker with a fishing rod, and then we're gonna pull it from the center fountain, and the shulker is just gonna fly over here. And now he's right there. It's a pretty precise trick, but very consistent if you know what you're doing. And unfortunately, it's a trick that mainly only works on set seed of all advancements. So that's a cool trick that you won't see in the random seed variant. So now we're using this anvil to add these enchantments to my armor and tools, as I was saying before, and we're ready to leave. So a sub 12 minute end leave, which is about average, not fantastic. High 11 is not that great, but you know, I'm just going for personal best, so it's nothing too shabby. We're not too far behind. So now we're going to massacre the local fish population, which is for one of those multi-part advancements I talked about, taming every cat. And you tame cats with 40 different... it doesn't have to be 40. You tame cats with fish. It's, I think, normally around 3 fish per cat, so we're going to get 40 or so cod. Callback, the black cat that we were resetting for at the very, very beginning of this run, I said it can only spawn early on, that's one of the conditions, and another condition is it can spawn in a witch hut, but there's not a witch hut that's really on our route, which is why we reset for the cat right here. And you can see in about a minute or so, I'm finally gonna tame that black cat. And the cats do wander around, so I might lose a little bit of time just looking for where the cat ran off to. Here I'm looting a buried treasure, which normally you need to use a map to find. Speedrunners actually have another strategy to find it, using something called the pie chart, but we just have it memorized because, again, we're running a set seed. So I did a quick dip there looking for cats, didn't see any. Gonna grab these furnaces, will be helpful for smelting a couple things later in the run. That's our first cat. That's a Siamese, I believe. And now I'm gonna look for this black cat that you saw at the very beginning of the run, and there it is. And there we go. You can see I'm kind of shaking my mouse violently because, oh, and 2 cats dead. Sorry you had to see that. If you move too quickly or shake your mouse too much, the cats run away. So normally I get kind of close to them, and then if there's something that's like gonna push me and make the cats run away, then I kind of run towards it and spam click it. So I was shaking my mouse a lot. But those 2 cats actually ate a lot of our fish, so I did a quick restock on cod there. And now we're going to one of the main structures in the mid-game, an ocean monument. So one of these big multi-part advancements, actually not really a multi-part advancement, but a big advancement we're going to be grinding for is Beaconator, where you build a full tiered beacon. And what that means is you have a beacon of tier 4, I believe, 4 different mineral levels below it. So if you add like mineral blocks below the base of a block called a beacon, it'll get more powerful. And the max tier is an advancement. And we need a lot of mineral blocks for that, so we're going to grab a lot of gold blocks from structures like ocean monuments. And here's the other main structure of our mid-game, the temple. So I got this at the beginning of the run, and I'm going to get a couple more throughout this run. In set seed, the most important thing we need temples for is gunpowder for these firework rockets that allow us to fly quickly. In random seed, you also get a lot of TNT, but we don't need that much TNT in set seed. So now I'm going to continue just looting more deserts, temples, and also villages. This is the first big portion of the mid-game. It'll go for another little less than 10 minutes. I'll just be in desert. And I would say right around now is when I would do a call for donations. We've gotten through maybe the most fast-paced part of this run, but it only gets more exciting in my opinion. So I'm looting this temple, I'm grabbing some resources here that'll be used for a lot of different stuff, like we need to breed all mobs, so I need different resources for that. Every mob needs different food to breed it, and then grabbing some foods to eat, and some other things like that. And I'm going to organize my shulker box, just make sure all my items are where I like them, because that way when we're accessing them later in the run multiple times, I'll be able to find them pretty quickly. Make another stop at a village here. And something really funny, a zombie siege starts, which is kind of rare. It basically spawns a ton of zombies to attack the village, which is stressful enough if you're playing casually, but in a speedrun, with all these zombies around, it can mess up our cat tames, is the main annoyance. Luckily, I've memorized where the cats tend to end up, so I know there's a cat over here and I can fly away from the zombies. Now we're gonna start on breeding mobs. We just bred cats, and I'm also going to breed pigs and cows. Also, it was pretty quick, I don't know if you caught it, I got another advancement while breeding the cats called Fishy Business. The advancement says, catch a fish with a rod or something similar to that. But a speedrunner, shout out Funberg, figured out if you just throw a fish on the ground and reel it in, the game thinks you fished it, which is kind of funny. So, little, 10-second or so time save. This portion of the run, as I said, will be in desert a lot, but the next portion of the run will be in ocean a lot, and we make a quick early pit stop, preview the ocean before going back to the desert. And the ocean will have 2 items that we really care about. You can see them in the middle right or so of my screen, shells and trident, and I'll explain those when we start the ocean split. So now we're just getting more cats. You need 11 different cat types, and we have maybe 4 or 5 at this point. So I'm just looking around. There's 2 ragdolls here, which is kind of funny. I go after that guy, and then he gets away, so I go after this guy, and he's running all over the place. That's a mess, and we finally get him. Okay, so I'm going to get more furnaces, again useful for smelting items. They'll become pretty useful towards the end game of the run. Actually, lower my render distance here. So remember, 10 minutes or so, maybe longer, I was explaining the pearl hang, closer to 15 minutes ago, where we lower our render distance and unload an ender pearl. Now we're going to do a similar thing, where there are actually beehives, and I'm trying to unload the beehives so the bees don't pop out when I don't want them to. So there are a couple advancements that bees are involved with in this run. They were added in the 1.15 update, I believe. And we have to get, normally in random seed you might get 2, in set seed we go for 4 beehives for these advancements. Or their high def. Here there's Silk Touch tool, which will be used to get the beehives. So, you know, shout out the people who grabbed this seed. I think that's pretty cool. You kind of just mine in through the wall and find a secret structure to get your tool for the beehives. I don't know, it's kind of sick. These beehives all take up an individual slot in my inventory, and that's going to be really annoying later when my inventory gets really full. So I'm going to put them away in our handy dandy shulker boxes. Now that I got all the beehives, I can turn my render distance back up and get another desert temple. And it's pretty quick there. I just grabbed another enchanted book, which is Efficiency 4. I hovered it for a split second there. And we're going to put that on our hoe, actually. One of the more useless tools in the game. Became more useful in the, actually, 1.16 update, where you can mine certain blocks a lot faster with a hoe. I make a mistake here, trying to breed my chickens, and I sweeping edged this chicken. So I kill them off for good measure. So we're gonna have to breed chickens later, because those guys actually didn't finish. And that'll be towards the end of the run, actually. Here I'm gonna get an advancement called What a Deal. Trade with the villager, pretty self-explanatory. And I'm gonna smelt up some of my food items here. And organize our stuff while we're waiting for all these foods to smelt. Here I make an armor stand that'll be used for advancement in maybe 10 minutes or so. And smelt up our last food item we need. And you might have caught it. There's our enchanted hoe, by the way. You might have caught it when I was crafting the armor stand. I typed ST in the crafting table. So a while back, Mojang added a book to the crafting grid, which some people, you know, the purists, not a fan of, because, you know, part of the Minecraft journey, you might argue, is, I don't know, Googling or messing around with crafts to figure them out. And the book just kind of shows you all of them. But for speedrunners, we use the book to just craft faster, because for a lot of items, it's a lot quicker to just click on the book instead of what we call drag crafting, or crafting without the book. And the reason I type letters in there is to narrow down the items shown in the crafting book, and that's what we call search crafting. So ST crafts sticks, and then once we have the sticks, ST is also an armor stand, ST, and so we can do a kind of 2-in-1, craft the sticks, craft the stand. A small little time save. Okay, I'm going to breed turtles. We use seagrass to breed those guys, which you get from the ocean floor. And I see a jelly cat. I think by this point, I only need maybe 3 or 4 different cat types. So we're getting towards the end of our cats. Another ruined portal there. Gonna grab a flint and steel, which is used to light nether portals, and some golden carrots, which is for eating and breeding more mobs. Here, here's a spot where memorize where these wolves are. And for these guys, you actually have to tame them and then also give them rotten flesh so they breed. And there's a couple different animals like that. You gotta tame them first and then give them their favorite food so they can breed. And we're gonna hit some of those animals back to back in a couple minutes here. So now we see why this efficiency hoe is so awesome. Without efficiency 3 or higher on a diamond hoe, these hay bales are not insta-mined, but with our efficiency 4 hoe, we can kind of just hold click, left click, and instantly mine all of them. Saves a little bit of time. Okay, got another cat. That's a British cat, and we're nearing the end of our cats. So naturally, the way the distribution of cats works, the way statistics works, as we get closer and closer to only having 1 or 2 cats left, the harder it is to find that cat type, because, you know, every cat we see, it has to be that exact type we need. So now we're just taming these guys, and we'll feed them hay bales. Llama's another of those. animals you have to tame first before breeding them. And I've also been working towards all the biomes. So there's 5 rare biomes. In the set stage route, they become pretty common because we know exactly where they are. And one of them we actually got way back at around the 6-minute mark, but we never actually see it, and it's the Badlands. And that's because the stronghold is under a Badlands. So we just get that biome by being in the stronghold, which is pretty cool. Now I'm gonna tame this horse, ride it over to the donkey, and breed them. This is for the mule breed, where you breed a donkey and a horse. Now we're gonna breed donkeys, and you can see this guy's actually a child. You can't breed children, because that would be really weird. So we're gonna feed this guy some growth hormones, aka hay bales, and grow him up to an adult. Now we're approaching one of the last villages on our route. You can see we exited the main desert portion of our mid-game, by the way. I think at this point I need 2 cats, if I remember correctly. It could be 1, but I think it's 2. I'm actually gonna grab this campfire. Looking at the right side of my screen for this cat, and I spot it, I believe? Yes, a Persian cat. And using Silk Touch on that campfire gives it to us in campfire form, similar to the beehives. If you break it without Silk Touch, you get nothing. Campfire, if you break it with your fist, I think you get coal? Maybe charcoal? I don't remember. I paused there, check one of our biomes off, Taiga Hills. The campfire will be used for a bee advancement, actually, and that'll be in quite a while. So just keep that in the back of your mind. We're entering our technically 2nd rare biome now, the Snowy Tundra, or Snowy. And again, I'm doing the render distance trick, this time to unload foxes. There are foxes in a predetermined spot, and if you let them roam around, they can get really far away and impossible to track down. So if we unload them, then we'll be able to predict where they are upon leaving this igloo. And Snowy is quite a special rare biome because of this structure we're in right now called an igloo. So there's a lot going on, but if you saw, I splashed a potion at this zombie guy, zombie villager, then I gave him a golden apple, and that combo is going to give us an advancement called Zombie Doctor, where you cure a zombie villager. Now we're going to do some more crafts. I'm using the search crafting technique I was talking about, and when I splashed this guy and gave him the apple, it doesn't immediately cure him. You have to wait up to 5 minutes. So there's a lot of stuff we're going to be doing in those 5 minutes, basically. Here I actually mess up this advancement. I placed this snowblock, and I think you can get it with Silk Touch, but I forgot you can't break snowblocks with Silk Touch. So I have to pick these fish back up. It's a whole nightmare. But again, all this is pretty overlapped because I do have to wait up to 5 minutes, so it's not a huge deal. So I gotta fly back up here, get this snowblock. There's so much going on, I can't even explain the advancement we're doing. It's called Arbalistic. You kill 5 mobs. And if you count an armor stand, that's the thing we crafted earlier, counts as a mob. There's this zombie villager, 2 fishies, and now a snow golem. And that's 5. And we kill them all at once with our crossbow, which we enchanted earlier on. And that's Arbalistic. It's actually a secret advancement. So if you look in the in-game advancement menu, it doesn't show up until you get it, which is kind of cool. Also, some advancements, as you saw, that was a purple one, have different, I guess, like tiers. Some are like just advancements, some are called goals, I think, and challenges. Basically, the more cool ones will get a little sound effect, and they'll be purple. That's all you need to know. Here are the foxes I was talking about. Trying to desperately feed this guy. There we go. I'm actually crouching here, you'll notice, instead of just chasing the fox. If you crouch, they don't run away from you. If you're uncrouching, they can run far and fast from you. We're gonna, again, quick pit stop in this ocean. Didn't get anything from this mob, unfortunately, which is called a drowned, and we'll be seeing a lot of them. But again, I'll talk to that when we start the main ocean split, which will be right after this snowy tundra split. Now I'm going to do one of my favorite advancements in a second here. It's called Bullseye, where you shoot a target from 30 blocks away, or further. And doing this naturally is really difficult because of arrow RNG, projectile RNG. But there's a lot of different ways to cheese it. One of them we're going to do right now, which I call button bullseye, which I invented. And that's bullseye. Again, a purple advancement. Basically, it was pretty technical, but I made a trapdoor, a button, and I got a redstone torch from the igloo. And I shot an arrow on the trapdoor, and then basically triggered the trapdoor so that it would open after the button unpowered. So I was able to fly over 30 blocks away, and the game goes, oh, an arrow hit the target that you shot, and you're over 30 blocks away. You must have gotten bullseye. So again, kind of a funny way to cheese the advancement. I got another advancement here, CD place, and that's for growing beetroot, which again, part of the stuff we need to eat. You need the beetroot stew or soup, and the normal beetroot. And there's a zombie doctor advancement. That was around, I don't know, maybe 4 minutes. So now we are free to leave the snowy, but I think I will quickly turn around and you'll see why in a second. But for now we're starting the ocean split. Actually, before we start, there's a little guy down here, which we need to do for the advancement where you kill every mob, every hostile mob. Let's say cave spider. So again, part of the route, there's just a spawner down here, and you dig down and kill this guy, so it's kind of cool. It was a bit of time here. I'm looking for 2 pufferfish. Again, pufferfish, part of the eat everything. You can eat pufferfish. And then pufferfish you can also use in brewing potions, and that'll be relevant in quite a while, so don't think about that one too hard. I'm just flying up and down trying to get a pufferfish. I'm also using this pie chart on the bottom of my screen. And if you look there, it's hard to see, I was flashing it, but in red text it showed there was a pufferfish loaded, so that's kind of a cool use of the pie chart. Now, we, hi Brack, kill this stray mob, which was our last pit stop before leaving the snowy, so I split there. Strays can only spawn in snowy, part of the kill everything advancement. And, which will actually become kill everything in this event or monsters hunted will be relevant at the end of the run. They can only spawn in snows and at night, so we were waiting until it turned night to kill that guy. Yeah, I learned this run for GDQ. Another mob that only spawns, mainly only spawns in a specific biome at night is a slime. So, there's a earlier swamp, but it wasn't night when I got there, so this is our backup swamp. And we need to kill those guys, again, for the kill everything thing, advancement, and also for these items called leads, which are really useful. They're basically like leashes for mobs. Okay, so now I've been referencing this a lot. We're finally starting the ocean split, and we're killing these guys called drowned for the 2 items below my timer, shells and a trident. So we need 8 shells and 1 trident, as you can see. The 8 shells are for the biggest advancement of the whole run, which is crazy that I'm just now bringing it up. But a lot of the things I've been gathering have been for this huge advancement, and it's called How Did We Get Here? The advancement is get every effect at the same time, and there are a ton of different effects, and they all have different sources. And one of these effects is conduit power, which you can get from an item crafted with 8 shells and a Heart of the Sea, which is an item I picked up very early on in the buried treasure. So there's a lot of information, but basically we need 8 shells for the really hard advancement called How'd We Get Here. The trident is for 2 advancements. One is called a throwaway joke. Throw a trident at a mob. Pretty self-explanatory. We need a trident to throw a trident. The other one is called Very, Very Frightening, which is a reference to Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'll talk about that after we do this advancement. Sorry, there's just a lot going on. This is called Sniper Duel, where you shoot a skeleton from over 50 blocks away, and I'm sure you're getting used to this by now, the render distance trick. We hang the arrow, so we did the pearl hang earlier, now we're doing the arrow hang, and then we fly away. And the advancement is shoot a skeleton, kill a skeleton with an arrow from over 50 blocks away, but we shot it from about 20 blocks, then flew 30 more blocks, and then raised our render distance to load the arrow, so we kind of tricked the game. There's a lot of tricking the game in this run, kind of pushing the boundaries of what glitchless really means. There's our first shell out of 8, not bad. And as I was saying, before I got interrupted by Sniper Duel, there's an advancement. The second advancement you need a trident for is Very, Very Frightening, where you hit a villager with a trident while it is thundering. So, in Minecraft, it can rain, it can snow if it's raining in certain biomes, and it can thunder if it's raining and the thunder timer is triggered. And then when that happens, we'll get that advancement. And it's not that common, but it does happen this run, because this is a completion. So yeah, you'll see that at the end of the run, and I get pretty excited when it finally happens. There's our second shell. Pretty good progress at this point. We've only hit a couple of these drowned ocean runes, they're called. Already at 2 shells, not too bad. There's another trident guy, does not unfortunately drop. So as I mentioned 20 minutes or so ago, more than that, 25, one of these structures we'll be looting a lot is ocean monuments. So I'm lowering my render distance, a trick I've talked about a lot up to this point. That is to unload the Elder Guardian mob, which is the mob that can give you an effect called mining fatigue. Makes it so you can't mine anything. It's really annoying. Because it's Minecraft, we're doing a lot of mining, it's in the game name. So every time I enter one of these, lower my render, get rid of those guys, and then raise it back up so we can actually see what we're doing. This would be a good spot for donations. We're kind of just doing the same thing, looting ocean, getting shells if we're lucky, getting a trident if we're lucky. The ratio of shells to trident is normally a trident is as rare as 4 shells or so. Quick pit stop to these backup villages, because I need one more cat. And it's a red cat, and it's right there. It's more of an orange cat, but it's called a red cat, so I don't know. It's the game, don't blame me. And that is a complete catalog. Pretty awesome. That's one of our big multi-part advancements. So, glad we're done with that. I've had runs die to not finding all the cats, so pretty nice. Looking for another 5 more shell guys, and hoping some trident guys will give us a trident. So, it's hard to keep track of this route if you don't know it that well, but we've been flying pretty far out, expanding, and now we're gonna turn back and get the ocean that we haven't checked for more drowned and ocean monuments. So I like to think of this routing as like a big U. So we go straight and then we kind of curve and we go back the same way. But not backtracking, just adjacent, I guess. Here I paused. I think someone was talking to me. I was checking my Discord. Oh, mining fatigue. So, as I mentioned, the render distance trick is to unload the Guardians, but it doesn't always work. It works pretty well. It's pretty technical why it doesn't always work, but just know sometimes you still can't get mining fatigue. And that's what we have milk for, to cancel that effect. And we got our trident there. Pretty big win. So it has an update on the tracker, because the tracker for Shells and Trident, it'll only update every time I pause the game. But you'll see once I pause, it'll say awaiting thunder, and it'll be glowing. Shout out to the creator of the AA tool tracker. It's an external tool that allows all Advancements runners and other category runners to kind of track their progress. It's allowed on speedrun.com, and yeah, he put a ton of work into it. It's really awesome to use. Also, I mentioned at the beginning of this run, this is set seed glitchless. I mentioned seed finding. The seed was found by Leon, former All Advancements runner, shout out Leon, and also Pac-Man, who put a lot of work into routing the seed. So shout out to the both of them. Yeah, now my trident is glowing. We are at our next rare biome. I believe this is our third, if you count the Badlands we never even saw. This is a giant tree taiga. And every time you see I did a little quick pause there, that was just to check that I actually got the biome. And this makes you easier. Who am I gonna get for comms? Pack, probably Folder, and probably Oxy if it's SSG. But we'll see. And this, as I was saying, this Mega Taiga biome, or Giant Tree Taiga, is linked to another rare biome called a jungle. And it was pretty quick there, but we bred pandas in the jungle. Now we're gonna get melons to eat, and cocoa beans to make a cookie to eat. And I'm doing a cool trick here, where I fly up to spawn ocelots to breed for the breed every mob advancement, called 2x2. And you might be wondering, how does flying up spawn ocelots? Because this entire run, we've kind of just been memorizing where mobs are, not flying really far up to spawn them. I also do a cool trick here where I fly an ocelot straight up. You'll see a similar trick near the end of the run. Ocelots, because Minecraft is a funny game, are actually part of the hostile mob cap, so they're counted as dangerous mobs that want to kill you. And if you despawn hostile mobs underground, ocelots have a chance of spawning. So we fly up, get rid of all those mobs underground, or despawn them, and then ocelots can replace those guys, basically. So it's kind of a cool trick. This will be the last desert temple. We have done kind of the first major ocean split, quick pit stop in these rare biomes, grab a temple, and then we're back to the ocean. I only have 3 shells, which is not fantastic at this point, but we still have a little bit of ocean left to go. And if you were paying attention, I mentioned there are 5 different rare biomes, and if you've been counting, we're at 4. So there's the last one left, which is the Mushroom Island, and that'll be the normal end of the Overworld section of the mid-game. Now would be a good time if I were in GDQ for donations as we resume our ocean. Just getting our monuments for gold, getting our drowned ocean runes for shells. I did mention we needed a lot of gold. It's 164 gold blocks. Thanks, Daddle. For the full beacon. And every monument is 8. So if you do the math, that's 20 to 21 monuments. But we don't get that many if you've been counting. We get like a little more than a dozen, I think. I don't know the exact number. And that's because there's another source of gold blocks. If you remember the very beginning, any percent section of the run, we got gold from a bastion to trade with the piglins for some resources. So once we finish the overworld section, there's another shell, by the way. We're going to pop in the nether to do the nether portion of the mid-game and get the rest of our gold from those. So just a little foreshadowing for the next part of the run. You might be noticing I'm also keeping these prismarine blocks in my left hand, or the offhand is what it's called in Minecraft. So a couple minutes ago, 20 minutes, I don't remember, I mentioned we need conduit power from shells and a Heart of the Sea, which craft the conduit block. But if you just place the conduit block, or try to eat it, or I don't know, throw it, it doesn't do anything. You have to place it in a little structure with prismarine and water. And you need a minimum of 16 prismarine blocks, so that's why we're holding onto those. It was pretty quick, but earlier I put 7 into my shulker, and now we have 9, so we have enough. Checking these ruins. I think I get, yep, 1 more shell. And we're at 5, and we're about to enter our last rare biome, the Mushroom Island. Normally, you'd want to be done with shells by now, but if you're not, and as with this run, there are backup ocean ruins, which we will be looting. I'm getting a shipwreck here for a bunch of things. So a lot of items I just picked up. Poisonous potato, a food to eat. I hope I don't explain that by now. We got some iron, which will be used for advancement down the road. We got a book, and we got 1 lapis lazuli. Also some paper, which is just for fireworks. And here's our last rare biome. And we're approaching the end of the overworld mid-game. And that's a purple advancement, adventuring time. Visit all 42 biomes. That's pretty awesome. I'm gonna put Shanling on my trident, which is for the very, very frightening advancement. And I'm gonna get some resources here. I just kind of milked that guy for a stew, which we need to eat. And I'm getting some ingredients for how do we get here. The big advancement we're building up to throughout this run. Also finally got Enchanter, which is kind of funny. In Random Seed, normally that's one of the first advancements you get in the Random Seed glitchless mid-game route. In the Set Seed glitchless route, we get so many books in the library that we can just skip the enchanting segment, and we just get it at the Mushroom Island, so it's kind of funny. And that's what we picked up that lapis and the book for. Crafting the enchantment table with a book, 2 diamonds, and 4 obsidian, and then enchanting an item, in which you need your item to enchant, experience levels, and at least 1 lapis lazuli. So I'm just checking these around. I'm at 6, so only 2 more shell guys. They could pop up at any second. Luckily, we're not in the backup ocean for too long. This would be a good time for donations. But I do get these 2 shells within a minute or 2, so not too bad. Although we will be in the red in a minute, as you can see. Here's another giant tree taiga, which is not part of the route, but it just exists there, which is kind of cool. Fun fact about the rare biome generation, all 5 of the rare biomes have different conditions for what makes them spawn. So basically in this version, Minecraft has kind of like climate temperatures, and depending on certain conditions and random rolls, it'll replace standard biomes in those temperatures with rare biomes. So as we're checking these runes, I'll preview the nether segment of the run. There's a bunch of advancements we're going to get in the nether, and we're gonna start by getting some gold blocks from a Bastion. Then we are going to go to another fortress, which in the 80% we just needed for blaze rods, but for all the advancements we're gonna need some more resources. Namely, wither skeleton skulls is the main resource we'll be getting from there, and that'll be a couple minutes. It's unsplit. I'll explain more once we get there. And then we're gonna get some more gold from more bastions, round off our gold collecting, and do some other things, which I'll talk about when we get there. So I'm getting a little bit rolled on shells right now, but luckily I have most of these bucket runes memorized. I haven't like fully optimally routed this part. There's one runner who inspired me to play this category, Oxidiot, has the Thunderless world record, air advancement without very, very frightening for this category, and I've just been grinding this for a long time. Taught me the route. Shout out Oxy. So it'd be probably useful to watch her back at route for these shells at some point. Luckily it'll only be 30 seconds or so, because I think I got both my shells off this rune. We're gonna land here, and bam, 2 shell guys. It's beautiful. Okay, so we're in the red by 2 minutes, not terrible. I attempted to do a search craft overlap here, but I forgot to grab the Heartless Sea, unfortunately. So I only got 2 of them off, Compass and Cookie with CO. Messed up my menuing here a little bit. Okay, but here we go. Entering the Nether. Finally in a new split. Splitting in 3, 2, 1. Bam. So this is actually, normally we enter the Nether on the Mushroom Island, because in some runs you have all your shells by then. No idea how that went through the guess, by the way. I need to rewatch that. Another purple advancement, Return to Sender. You deflect a gas fireball to itself to kill it, using its own weapon against it. But normally you enter the Nether on the Mushroom Island, you spawn in a bit of a different location. So I got thrown for a second, but I figured out where I was. Now we're killing a bunch of these guys. Again, part of the kill everything advancement, monsters hunted. And also for these items on the top right of my inventory you saw for a second there, gas tiers only drop from gas, which is, you know, pretty reasonable inference. I don't think I had to explain that. And we'll need those, as you can guess by now, for an advancement, which will be at towards the end of it. So I mentioned earlier we have the Skull Split, which is the second time we need another fortress this run. That'll start here. Another purple advancement, by the way. Hot tourist destinations. Remember the overworld visit every biome advancement, which we got on the Mushroom Island? That was called Adventuring Time. And then the Nether equivalent, visit every Nether biome, is considerably easier to get. We haven't been the Nether that much at all, and we already got it, which is kind of funny. So we are killing these wither skeleton guys, the black guys, holding the stone swords for their skulls, which is kind of gruesome. But don't think about it too hard. It's a fantasy game. So I'm just kind of flying around, relieving these guys of their skulls, or attempting to. And when I get my first skull, you'll see an advancement there. Won't spoil the name, but you'll see it pop up in chat. And we need 3 of those. And if you've played Minecraft at all, you probably know what I'm talking about already. There's a boss mob called the Wither, which we need to kill. Part of this route, Minecraft, all advancements being basically 100% is... oh, there's an advancement, get a skull. Spooky, scary skeleton. As I was saying, Minecraft 100% AKL advancements You know, it's 100%. It includes a lot, and it includes the all bosses category within it. And this version of Minecraft has 3 bosses: the Ender Dragon, which we killed already in the sky, and the Wither, which we can spawn with 3 Wither skeleton skulls, which is what we're collecting right now, and then the Elder Guardian, which is a mob in those ocean monuments we've been looting this whole time. So I think the skull split, it was okay. Maybe slightly above average. Nothing crazy. But normally I don't reset runs at this point, because the skull split isn't too commonly make or break in set seed. At least for this seed. Other seeds in the past, it was one of the earliest things you would reset off of. Again, kind of just killing these guys. This would be a good time for donations. I didn't point it out, but I also got soul sand and netherwort from a room in the fortress, and I've also killed blazes for 7 more blaze rods, which will be used for potions. There's our second skull, 2 out of 3. And I think I got the third pretty soon after. I think it was around here. And yep, right there on the ground. That's the skull split. So the netherwort and soul sand I collected a minute or 2 ago is for summoning the Wither. You need 3 skulls and 4 soul sand. And then the wart is for brewing potions. Potions give us effects, and again, how do we get here? That big advancement where we get every effect. That's where we're going to use those potions. Cool little routing thing here that I would say rediscovered on my own. You can fly through this lava, grab an item called a lodestone, which you can probably figure out by now is for an advancement, which I will get in maybe 2 minutes or so. And we're just looting gold. Pretty close to being done with gold at this point. I need like 30, I would say 30-ish gold at this point. And you'll notice, if you have been paying attention, all these bastions we're looting for gold have looked kind of different. So the one we got at the very beginning of the run is called a stables bastion, housing stables. Then after ending the nether, we got 2 bridge bastions. That's where we got the lodestone from just now. Now we're in a treasure bastion. And soon after, we'll go to the last bastion type called a housing. This part of the run was a little sloppy. My inventory was full. I've been meaning to sort it before entering this treasure bastion, but I keep forgetting. Or like put away items, because my inventory is full. So this is a little scary. I have to lose a golden apple, sadly, to distract the piglins. But there's 4 bastion types, as I was saying, so it's kind of cool that all 4 are in this seed. I don't know, I think it's just kind of neat. Okay, so we've, angered the local piglin population, stolen all their loot. Now we're going to continue and breed one of our final mobs. Oop, flew into a tree. My bad. Hoglin. So there are 2 mobs we need to breed in the nether, hoglins and striders, and these are hoglins. They're pretty aggressive, but not too bad if you know how to handle them. Just gotta be careful. I misplaced a knob, and obsidian there when building this portal, so I have to mine this. But hoglins in this version, for some reason, take a long time to breed anyway, longer than other mobs. So I'm just kind of waiting on them anyway. Not a huge time loss. There's actually a specific strat that I invented a few weeks ago for this split. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out a good way to route it in for set seed yet, but I have used it in random seed. So if you want to check out my other submission, it's in my personal best. But now we're doing the Zoglin split, where we go to the overworld, bring this guy with us, and murder him brutally. That's the load to advancement. Country liberals. Oh, I forgot about this. Sorry, there's a lot going on. I meant to throw out my gold helmet and threw out my elytra, and I almost died. So that would have been kind of tragic. Luckily, I got it right the second time. Okay. As I was saying, Zoglin. We need to kill every hostile mob. Zoglin's one of them. And a Zoglin stands for zombified hoglin. You bring a hoglin to the overworld, it gets kind of scared, turns into a zombie. Pretty normal stuff. Minecraft is a fantasy game made in 2009 by Marcus Notch person. Sorry. So we bring the guy to the overworld, turns into a zombie, then we bring him back and kill him. Here's my another second big nether leave. Another advancement called Uneasy Alliance. And this advancement has a really long history. Used to take us up to like an hour to do. Now we can do it in like a minute. We go to the overworld and blow up the ghast while the ghast is in the nether and we're in the overworld. Gets us this advancement, Uneasy Alliance. The advancement description is kill a ghast while kill a ghast in the overworld or something like that. But the game's like, oh, the player's in the overworld? I don't care where the ghast is. You must have killed the ghast in the overworld. But we do some fancy tricks, kill the ghast in the nether while we're in the overworld, and the game says, okay, good enough. My gold block routing gear is a little sloppy. I need to figure that out too. But at this point, we're basically done with gold. Grab more obsidian there, which we'll be using for more nether portals. And I can put away my gold, and we see 64, 64, and 39, which is just about enough gold for Beaconator and everything else we need to do. G2 is a speedrun marathon. You can Google it if you want to know more. It's the most famous speedrunning marathon event by far. Another advancement there, quick one, where you ride a strider with this little fungus on a stick, and I also bred the striders while doing that. Here I save and quit. This is allowed. There's a bug, sometimes you break blocks and they don't like to break, but if you relog, leave the game, come back, it normally fixes itself. Now we're doing the debris split. In random seed, this can be kind of a choke point where you mine. What was I doing here? Maybe closing a tab or something. Sorry. The debris split. Normally in random seed, you don't know where the debris is. It can take a while to find it all. In set seed, we already know where all of it is. Pretty convenient. So I'm going to be tunneling in a very specific way to find these ancient debris. And it's the most difficult to find mineral, if you can call it that, in this version. And as such, gives us access to the most powerful armor and tools. And you'll see, we're going to take this awesome resource in a second and use it on one of the worst tools in the game, a hoe. But we're not there yet. So you normally need 20, and we're at 18, and there's going to be 2 more just past this little black stone patch, and it's right there. And I did forget to split here, which is unfortunate. But we did make up time in this nether split, so that's nice. Made up, I don't know, like 30 seconds. Now I'm gonna finally use these beehives I collected about an hour ago. And you might be wondering, why the heck are we putting bees in the nether dimension? We took them from their flower forest home, stuck them in Minecraft equivalent of hell, and we're gonna let them live here forever, because that's what speedrunners do. So bees actually don't like to work when it's raining. I don't know, maybe they're like humans. I feel like I like working when it's raining, it's kind of peaceful. Sorry, sidetrack. Bees don't like working when it's raining or night. And it turns night pretty often. And it rains not as often, but we want it to rain again for that thunder advancement. I faced the wrong way here. That's a little embarrassing. If we put them in the nether, though, and then we load the nether, the bees will always stay working. So, you know, there's something to be said in that. Life lesson. You stick bees in hell, and they'll become your bee slaves. I don't know, man. So this is how we load the nether. We built a chunk loader machine invented by two strat devs, Antrokiss and King Contaria, for any percent in a different version. So shout out. I accidentally shot my crossbow. That was an accident. So we stuck the bees in the nether. And now we are going to do the raid. So this, as you can guess, gives us some more advancements, and is also the start of our prep for Had We Get Here, that big get all effects advancement. And I got an effect there. It's kind of hidden by my live split, but it's Bad Omen. And when you enter a village with a Bad Omen, bad things happen. AKA raid starts, and pillagers start spawning out of nowhere, start murdering all your villagers. It's kind of scary. But luckily for speedrunners, we just blow them up. So, kablooey. This is TNT Raid, invented by Leon. Also the guy who found this seed. Shout out Leon. And again, you might have noticed I did the render distance strat. And it's pretty technical, but basically you lower your render distance and the raid guys spawn in pretty much the same spot every time. We're just mining this out. Mine those blocks prevents guys from spawning, the raiders from spawning where we don't want them to. And I get kind of low here. I only have one more golden apple, so I have to eat it. We do have full diamond armor, but these guys still do a decent amount of damage, so I have to be careful. You'll notice, normally you want the iron golem to help in the raid, but we're actually going to box them off, because part of that Monsters Hunted multi-part advancement where we kill every mob, I need to kill the raiders. Not all of them, but every type of raider. And if the golem steals one of my kills, then I might lose the chance on killing that mob. And then we would have to do another raid, and that would be pretty tragic. This is unfortunate. You normally build this kind of box so the raiders spawn down there, but this guy gets out. I get kind of low here, but I know I'm not too much in danger. I targeted a specific raider there called the Evoker to get the Totem of Undying. So notice I'm on 1 heart. Scary. Oh, I'm good. And you get an advancement from that. Totem of Undying, as you can guess, prevents you from dying. That's the end of the raid. And I have to kill one of these guys called a Vex. Got him right there. Now we can live. Okay, so now clear out our inventory while we're flying, and you'll notice a Bad Omen cleared after starting the raid. And for Had We Get Here, we need every single effect, asterisks. We don't technically need all of them, but we need all of them that Mojang wanted us to have in this version. So I have to kill another of these raid banner guys, raid captains, whatever, to get the effect back. Again, forgot to split, sorry. Looking at my bees, I'm in the F3 or debug menu right now, and there's a little thing on the right. You might not have noticed it if you don't know to look for it. I was checking the honey level of the beehives, and we need 4 honey, which is why we have 4 beehives. And when it turns from 0 to 5, we can collect our honey. Here, this is... I don't think this was originally part of this route, but there's 2 enchanted golden apples down here. And we need 1 for Had We Get Here. And we don't need the second, but it's handy. So we got an advancement for spawning the Wither boss mob, and now we're gonna eat one of our golden apples just to make fighting it a little bit easier. You can see I don't even put on my diamond chestplate because the golden apple is that overpowered. It's a pretty rare item, so. Wither boss mob killed just like that. Turns out when you have some of the best gear in the game and one of the best food items in the game, killing the Wither isn't that hard. Now we're going to start setting up for how do we get here, as well as getting some other advancements. And it actually starts raining. So, raining, again, it can only thunder when it is raining. So I turn my clouds. Clouds allow us to more easily see if it is thundering. And now I would say when I was supposed to split, when after some IBs we officially started the endgame split of the run, mid-game concluded, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but basically we're prepping for how do we get here. That is the big point of the endgame. And we're also going to clean up a few of these miscellaneous advancements. Right now I'm building this beacon. Butterfly clicking actually. That's the full beacon base build. Now we just need the beacon item and I need to power it. And I'm getting glass for glass bottles to start work on the potions for how do we get here. So we filled 8 water bottles up there. Now we're gonna make 7 awkward potions and keep 1 water bottle for another type of potion. Power this beacon. And if you'll see in chat, Beaconator and bring on the beacon. And I also put very specific effects on the beacon. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually put basically any combination of effects on the beacon if it's max tier by clicking buttons in a certain way. So we get haste and jump boost. So fun fact, we didn't used to do the beacon like that, but I invented something called rabbit's foot skip a couple years ago. Finally beat our chickens, by the way. Where you avoid needing to get a rabbit's foot for the jump boost potion. Instead, we just get it on the beacon. You notice I also grabbed an egg here. That's for the pumpkin pie food I just crafted. Eggs don't spawn. I think it's 5 to 10 minutes, I've been told. Chickens can lay an egg. So we're hanging around and spawn this whole time. And so are these chickens, so we can just grab the eggs from them. I'm going to craft a bed. If you sleep in a bed, you get an advancement called Sweet Dreams. As a survival player, one of the maybe even first few advancements you get. Because, you know, basic Minecraft, avoid the night. Mobs are scary. Speedrunners, though, we hate sleeping. Because we're like that. But more accurately, if we get the Sweet Dreams advancement, it'll prevent a mob from spawning, called a phantom. And you'll see in a couple minutes, phantoms are the demise of this run. So one of the big multi-part advancements is 2x2, where we breed every mob, and I'm going to clean that up here. Breed, I believe, our last mob, horses. Taming them, feeding them golden carrots, and breeding horses, and that should be 2x2. There we go, bam. And clean up monsters hunted as well. I'm going to kill a creeper and a husk. And now we are waiting for phantoms to spawn. So phantoms can only spawn during night or thunder, and only after an hour. So this run is technically pace locked. However, the seed is not quite fast enough to be sub-hour anyway. So it's a loose pace lock in the sense that we haven't gotten the category to that point yet, but we still will always have to be waiting on these guys. This would be a good time for some donations. So I'm actually going to need 2 phantoms for an advancement where we kill 2 phantoms at once. But if I get 1, I can go ahead and start how do we get here, because you also need to kill a phantom for phantom membrane, which is an item that can be used as a potion ingredient. Flying over here, I forgot the spider kill, cleaning that up. And this whole time I'm also watching the sky. If the clouds turn dark, it is thundering. And we don't want to miss that. So again, this would be a good time for some donations. Chilling, waiting for these phantom dudes to show up. Kind of just, you know, taking care of my setup. Making sure hostile mobs don't spawn everywhere and ruin my setup. While we're waiting, I'll detail the end of the run. So we're gonna need to get Thunder this rain for that advancement. The throwaway joke advancement will be overlapped with the very, very frightening advancement. We're gonna need to resummon the dragon. That's advancement. So the dragon we killed at the beginning of the run for any percent, you can resummon with 4 items called End Crystals. And if you see in this shulker box for a second there are 3 items out of the 4 items we need to make those End Crystals. You need Eyes of Ender, Gas Tears, and Glass, and I have the Blaze Powder, so we'll need Ender Pearls, Blaze Powder, which will make the Eyes of Ender, Glass, and Gas Tears. And then we can get the 4 End Crystals and resummon the dragon with those. I guess I'll preview what How Do We Get Here will look like, because we've been talking about it for this whole run. So I already did the raid, which was the first step. Then I'm gonna fly to an ocean monument, get the mining fatigue effect, which normally we've been avoiding. Actually, before I finish talking about How Do We Get Here, I'll talk about what I'm doing right now. Way back when, over an hour ago, I talked about endermites, how I accidentally killed an endermite. I was just killing an enderman for more pearls to attempt to get an endermite, so that's what that was for. Back to How Do We Get Here? So I did the raid, gonna go to the monument, get mining fatigue. Then I'm going to fly a dolphin. The second mob, sometimes third mob, you'll fly in a run. So that's pretty fun to watch. Then I'll fly the dolphin back to the setup. So notice I built the beacon here. I didn't place it just anywhere because the beacon will give us those 2 effects, haste and jump boost, which I do have right now. Thanks, Rain. Then the conduit, which is what the shells were for, will give us conduit power. And then the shulker, which we brought at the very beginning of the run, will free from the boat and will shoot us, give us levitation. And then we're also gonna splash all of our potions and eat a couple foods and even shoot ourselves, all just for different unique effects. And when it's actually happening, there's a lot going on. So I think it's best to preview it, give you an idea of what you're about to see. Still waiting for these phantoms to show up. And remember, I need 2 for the advancement where you kill 2 phantoms. And I have this boat pre-placed so that when they show up, I can put them in the boat together. Makes it a lot easier to you know, flying mobs are easier to kill when they're not flying everywhere and they're just kind of stand still. I also did talk about how we put netherite on hoe, one of the most useless tools. The rest of the 16 ancient debris. Oh, there's a phantom. I'll finish my story in a second. It's unfortunately one, and I want two. So I just boat this guy, hoping for another one. The rest of the ancient debris, which we made into netherite, we put on our armor, because you need full netherite for cover me and debris. So we got that one a while back, but I didn't mention it explicitly. So right around here, the night ends. So I have a decision to make. I can either leave this phantom here, because if I get another one phantom the next night, I can, you know, put them in the same boat. Or I can kill this guy and do how do we get here. But it won't be night for another 10 minutes or so, so I decide, let's just get rid of this guy. And now we're gonna finally do how do we get here. Big build up this whole run's been leading up to. So again, Ocean Monument. I'm actually gonna kill two mobs here, the Elder Guardian and the Normal Guardian. This is a strat I've been workshopping. It hasn't worked out that well. Sometimes it works really well, where you blow up the Elder Guardian. Sometimes you can do it in like 3 TNT, sometimes it just doesn't really work. So I have to experiment with that. But I can't just spam all my TNT, because I'm saving TNT for Endermite actually, which you will see why in 5 minutes or so. So we got the Mine Fatigue, we killed our Guardian friends. Now I'm going to clear my inventory to make room for the 8 potions, and I'm going to fly a dolphin. And normally in a run this is when I'm nervous, but it is also one of the coolest parts of the run. Doing how do we get here, just flying a dolphin through the sky. I think it's always fun to watch. So we build momentum through the water, then lift off, and that's a flying dolphin. You do have to land it in the water, because otherwise it dies, so there is that caveat. Now I'm gonna splash our 8 potions, then prep the rest of our inventory. I do a save strat here, but this guy shoots quickly, so I undo it. Okay, now we're gonna eat 3 foods and wither rose, and that's how to get here. Every single effect in the game at once. Okay. So now that I've gotten how to get here, I can go to end again, where we resummon the dragon I was talking about earlier. But I decided not to do that immediately because of thunder. So rain, I haven't explained in detail how rain works. Rain can last a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 20 minutes, and it can thunder during any period of that rain. And the thunder timer lasts a minimum of 3 minutes. But if it starts thundering and then the rain ends, your thunder can just be like a second or a tick. And there's some crazy clips of that happening to people. So basically, after the first 10 minutes of rain, you're not guaranteed any more rain. So it's better to sit around and not miss thunder than to go do other things and risk missing thunder, which is why I'm just waiting. And right here, the clouds darken, which means it's thundering. So that is a throwaway joke and very, very frightening. So I mentioned earlier, phantoms can spawn at night. They can also spawn if it's thundering. So I'm on hard, and I'm trying to get 2 phantoms to spawn, so I can get that advancement. But I decide here, I'm going to fly around, get some stuff done, now that I don't have to sit at the village. If a phantom, hopefully 2, if they spawn, I can see them. So that's why I'm kind of turning around every other second or so, or changing perspective, rather. So I'm shearing sheep. You might be wondering why. A bit of a complex explanation, but I'll give it a shot. So phantoms can only spawn after an hour from the world start, and if you die, that timer resets. So I don't want to die. Also, dying is just slow in a speedrun, but I don't want to die because it would, mean we have to sit here for another hour, and that would suck. But normally, after we respawn the dragon, we throw all of our items in the end fountain portal, and then we die, and then we just teleport back to spawn with all of our items. So that way we don't have to kill the dragon again, because if you resummon the dragon, it closes the portal until you kill it again. Kind of a funny quirk about resummoning the dragon. So I'm grabbing beds, because I want to kill the dragon again with beds, as we did before. And I get one phantom. Yeah, you get the trident advancement by hitting a villager while it's thundering. And I get another one spawn. So there's a little bit of regret, because if I got two at either of the one spawns, I would have been fine. But if I just saved the other phantom, I also could have been fine. So it's a bit unfortunate. I make a roof over this guy because it could turn day and stop raining, and then the phantom would start dying. But if you have a roof, no access to sunlight, the phantom will not die. So again, now we're just waiting. Good time for donations. Guess I could talk about the advancements we have left. And again, we need to kill an endermite. We need hot stuff, which is get a bucket of lava, which is really funny because that's normally advancement you get within 3 minutes in most speedruns. But in this seed, we actually don't get it until the end, so it's kind of funny. I'm liking this guy because I know as soon as it stops thundering, no more phantoms, and it stopped thundering. So I have to wait until the next night, which is in 4 minutes, so at 1:30. So I'm pausing here, trying to figure out what I want to do in my routing. I know I have to kill the dragon, I'm just kind of double checking. So here's my plan. Here's hot stuff, by the way. Go then, resummon the dragon, get undermite, kill the dragon, come back. Except I forgot about my bees, so I gotta double back. A little bit silly of me. Can't forget about our bees. So I got 2 advancements there. Total bee location is when you break a beehive with 3 bees in it. And then Be Our Guest is get honey from a beehive with a campfire under it. So that's what that campfire that we got a while back was for. And then the reason we needed 4 honey is for the 3rd bee advancement, which I'll get in a minute or so. So now I can finally explain what I was saving my TNT for. We're gonna blow up these endermen, trap them in a pit, blow them all up, and get ender pearls for the endermite mob. If you're paying attention, I'm going to use my looting sword when blowing these guys up, because the TNT gives me kill credit, and then holding the sword applies the looting effect, which just gives me more ender pearls. So it's kind of cool tech. Now we're back in the end. And again, render distance tech. I'm going to unload all of these pearls that I'm throwing, load them all at the same time, and because I'm loading them at the same time, you normally take damage every time you throw an Ender Pearl, but if you load them all at the same time, the damage is kind of cancelled, and you only take 1 damage instead of taking damage for every single pearl, which would kill you. So again, I'm trying to make it back before 1:30, and I still have to resummon the dragon and kill the dragon. So I'm on a pretty tight timer here. So there's a lot going through my head right now. If I don't get the Endermite on these pearls, I don't know what to do, but I get it. Because I want to get that Phantom, but I also don't want to, you know, come back here at the end of the run. That'd be kind of slow. So luckily I do get it. Now we can resummon the dragon, do another quick search craft here. And we're gonna summon the Ender Dragon again. Here's the third B advancement, by the way. Sticky situation, slide down a honey block. There's another multi-part, eat every food. We ate honey, which was our last food. I'm also gonna get the next generation. Obtain the dragon egg. You'll notice I just got a lot of advancements. It's because we have to wait 30 seconds for the dragon to actually spawn. So I kind of just backloaded tasks. There's resummon the dragon, the end again, and you need a mint, collect its breath. Now I do a cool strat. I think this was discovered by Exorsolver, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember, it's been so long. I could just be totally wrong on that. I don't even remember the original name for this. Void Perch? Void Cycle? Basically, you put the dragon into a mode called Strafe Mode by blowing up an End Crystal. Basically, you get it angry at you. Then you fly out really far, and then you confuse the dragon because it's so far, and it immediately just flies back and perches. And this allows us to have a fast stun fight. And bam. So dragon killed for the second time. So I would have liked to get back exactly at 1:30. Unfortunately, I'm a little slow, so I technically could have missed a potential Phantom spawn. Oh yeah, I get an extra bed here, because there's an advancement called Sweet Dreams, which I talked about earlier, sleep in a bed, and I use my beds to explosively kill the dragon. So, gotta get another bed. And I don't even know if I mentioned the first dragon kill strat we did in the 90%, which was Zero Cycle. There's a long history. There's so many different ways to kill the Ender Dragon in this game and in this version. But the Zero Cycle, discovered a few years ago by T-Wags, Matthew Bolin, is a strat where you kill the dragon in the sky with beds. But I didn't have that many beds the second time, and doing the Void Purge Void Cycle is also pretty fast, so that's why I opted for that end fight strategy. And then, yeah, Void Perch is how I just got the dragon to perch, and then killing it with the beds out of the center fountain is just called a 1 cycle. So it's named because you need 1 cycle of the dragon perching to kill it. So if you needed 2 perches to kill it, that'd be a 2 cycle. And then 0 cycle, you don't need it to perch at the center fountain at all. So 0 cycles. So I think I have 3 advancements left at this point. Kill 2 phantoms. Sleep in a bed, which I can't do because it cancels our phantom spawns. And not today, thank you, which is an advancement you normally get really early on. But I like to do last. It's just a tradition I have. Because this category is long enough that, you know, people develop their own kind of traditions of doing stuff. And own creative ways to make a pretty long run their own and interesting and unique. Some fun history for you while we're waiting. Again, donations would be a good time for now. Normally you don't have to wait this long. is back in the day we used to end the run on an advancement called getting an upgrade. And the streamer who popularized that was Elisaku, one of the godfathers of this category. Got so many world records back in the day. And an inspiration to the community and a nice guy. He would end the run with getting an upgrade, crafting a stone pickaxe. One of the easiest advancements to do, but doing it last is not too hard either. It's just kind of funny. In my head right now, I'm kind of just chilling. It's also kind of cool that I ended up with like pretty much the exact number of firework rockets to complete this run. That was cool. Only got 4 left. I'm trying to figure out logistically what to do, because as soon as the phantoms spawn, you can't sleep in a bed with monsters nearby. So I'm trying to plan like, okay, I'm gonna kill the phantoms and then fly far away so I can sleep. And you'll see that doesn't... It works out. Not exactly. A small little time loss. So again, I'll mention, normally fandoms aren't... Sometimes they are, but they aren't always this bad. And, you know, the world record run, they got phantoms on the first night, which is typically what you want. And it is unfortunate that I got 2 1 spawns. But this run is a 1:38, I believe, so only got 2 or 3 minutes left, waiting for this second phantom to show up. Let me see if there's anyone else I can shout out while we're waiting on me waiting for phantoms. Shout out Feinberg, one of the runner who's pushed all advancements to its furthest limit. Shout out to Oxidate, who's pushed all advancements at Siege Glitchless quite far. Shout out T-Wags, who invented Zero Cycle and a lot of other strats we've seen, like the Monument Render Distance lowering. Yeah, I'll shout out Pack for routing the seed and being in call while I play it. T-Wags was also one of the first runners to play all advancements at Siege Glitchless. So it's kind of funny, back in the day, this category wasn't that popular compared to Random Seed. People would always be like, why is the world record slower than Random Seed on a seed you know? Sure, I'll shout out Leon again for finding the seed, which we call Black Cat Seed. Now, shout out MS. So T-Wags was like, okay, I'll get a good time. And he got like a 2:30 on a seed he probably found himself. Well, shout out Zerdle Tiff. Only got like a minute left. A little bit less than a minute, something like that. At this point, I was starting to get nervous though, that I would have to wait for the 150 night, which I totally would have done. Because technically my PB before this was a 216, although my PB without Thunder is a 118, so, you know, go figure. I'll shout out Dugile for the skin, sure. Hey, a 216 is a very respectable time, you know? There's not that many people in the world who have gotten all of the advancements in 2 hours. Okay, and I know they're coming. Just wanted to see if I can call it. It should be like right now. Yeah, there we go. And I get a 4 spawn, which is insane. 2 1 spawns, and then I get a 4 spawn to finish the run, but here we go. Lots gonna happen. Bam, 2 birds, 1 arrow. Kill 2 Vandoms. I fly over here to sleep, but there's mobs over here, so I gotta fly further. Sweet dreams, and not today, thank you. And I forgot to stop my timer for a second, but that is all advancements. Minecraft 1.16.1. Set stage glitchless. Thank you for watching. Thank you, chat, for being here. Thank you, GDQ, for considering my run. There's a lot of tricks, a lot to talk about. I hope you found it to be entertaining and interesting. I think this is an awesome run. I would love to see it in GDQ. Now that the run's done, I'm gonna show the seed data pack, kind of a standard thing you do for verification. Yeah. Thanks for watching.